Body count. So when we're talking about dating, is that a real need to know sort of thing, or is that just something that we think that we want to know? Because a lot of times you're going to hear something that you can't unhear, and I know personally that can change the trajectory of your relationship with somebody who you are interested in. So it's kind of a Pandora's box. You want to be very careful. I have some stats here, so let me run some stuff down. First and foremost, my thing with body count isn't so much of just knowing, like, to be competitive, whatever. My thing is health. It's a health issue. And to back that up, this is even of 2018. The CDC estimates 1 in 5 people have an STI, a sexually transmitted infection, as of 2018. Nearly 68 million STIs on any given day, and these were prevalent STIs, and 26 million newly acquired STIs in 2018. And of those, nearly 1 in 2 incident STIs were acquired by people 15 to 24 years old. This is right in that area where you guys are getting very active, very recreational. So it's one of those things you want to be extremely careful when you're talking about body count, because body count has a place where it starts to make you a little bit more susceptible to putting yourself in real health and danger. So now to the flip side with that, having a low body count, you can still, be carrying something. So it's really just a one-off, and you can be kind of infected or affected for for a very long time, or hopefully for a short amount of time for a lot of people. But I still would think that the odds would increase with each partner. So especially where you're just talking skin to skin, saliva to skin, or just any sort of bodily fluids where protection hasn't been utilized. Because we all know with foreplay, a lot of times that's not how it works. So you really want to be careful, because it's just the most well-meaning sort of gesture or thing to please your partner, and it could go terribly wrong. So let me see what else. Psychologically, health also means psychologically, emotionally. If somebody has a high body count, it really could just mean that they've experienced something in their lives that just set them on this path. And that means that there's a whole nother level of health that they need to be trying to get straight in their lives. And I know for a lot of people it can go the opposite way. It can just say, well, I'm just going to clam up and not be with anybody. But if somebody's really running wild, and it's the same thing that we say when we see young girls out in the streets and stuff, like where's her father, where are the parents, who raised her, sort of thing. So there is something about the psychological, emotional, and with trauma, it can set you off in a bunch of different ways. So I think the question here is somebody's history of having a high body count an indicator of potential infidelity in a committed relationship. Now, if you're just talking about hanging out on the weekends, but if you meet this person and they tell you, hey, I went wild, a few years ago or whatever, do you look at them differently? Do you now wonder if you are going to have a faithful partner? How does that affect us psychologically and emotionally? We're lucky at this point to not maybe have gotten caught up physically with our health, but those other two things, it affects everybody else around as well. What else do I have? And then, is there a possibility that they will become bored with the partner? Or is it just the trauma? They just feel like, I've been used at a very early age, and so now I either will use other people or I will just continue to be used, because that's like where I stunted at my emotional growth. It's kind of upsetting either way, and I'm sure a lot of people hate to see loved ones go through it. Now, the flip to that is, this is an interesting one. If somebody has too low of a body count, say like 1 or 2 partners, do they get the proverbial 7-year itch, where you're in it with them and they get really curious and start to feel like maybe I missed out by not going out and doing a couple other things or people. So there's a lot to be said about the body count. I don't know at a certain age if you have to start qualifying different numbers to it and say, well, this is a 35-year-old woman. We would expect that maybe she's had more partners than a 25-year-old woman. But in this day and age where we're seeing people getting, cakes and all this and that for surpassing the 40 body mark and stuff like that, it's crazy, it's wild. But you still just never know what somebody potentially has. So your best bet is to make sure you're getting yourself tested. Make sure before you get in with somebody, and it's hard, that's the hard part, especially for guys, quote unquote guys, because we're so sexual, that you go and get tested together. Make sure that you are both clean before you enter into something if you are going to be long-term monogamous. Those would be the two bits of advice. And if they do have a body count, tap in and see if you can find out, or maybe not find out all the details about their past, but are they getting help for it? Because you are on the clock to be their sounding board if you do not ensure that you are with somebody who is of sound mind and a physical body and a physically healthy body, emotional body, psychological mind, emotional mind, excuse me. So there's a lot to be said for all of that. So guys, hopefully this small bit helps. I'll probably come back around. I was gonna do an interesting just kind of man on the street sort of thing with some people and see what their thoughts were on body count, and yeah, we'll take it from there. But I'm gonna keep it short, and hopefully this finds everybody in a good place. Yeah, be safe out there, guys. Peace, love, unity, solidarity.